Okay, so we're going to rationalize denominators. This isn't really that bad, especially when it's just square root stuff. I'm going to start on this one right here first. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm doing, like I told you in class, they don't, math people don't like radicals in the denominator. So the way we get rid of them is whatever radicals here in the square root, we just multiply times that. Okay. So the square root of 3, like square root of 3 is just 1. So not really changing anything. Okay. So when we multiply it, we'll get 4z square roots of 3 over the square root of 9. When you multiply a square root times a square root, you basically cancel out that radical square root. Okay. I'm just doing it this way so you see how it works. Okay. So the square root of 9 is 3. And I can't simplify that further. So I leave it. Okay. Now I'm going to go back up here to this first one. And what it is, you know, I gave you the product rule for radicals. Okay. Basically says, hey, I can take the square root of AB and split it up into the square root of A times the square root of B. And I can go back and forth in between these. Okay. And this is the product rule for radicals. Okay. So they have the quotient rule for radicals. That's like the square root of A over the square root of B. Okay. You can do the same thing, just split it up. And you can go back and forth in between these. Now, normally what I'll do is I'll look and see if the denominator will go into the numerator even. And if it is, then I'll simplify it that way first. But this one isn't that way. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and split it up a little bit. So it looks like this. Now I'm going to get rid of that radical down there by just multiplying times itself. Okay, so on the bottom, I'm going to end up with, well, square root of 3 times the square root of 3. That's going to be square root of 9. You're going to get 3 out of that. Okay, and then 2 times 3 is 6. Okay, and you're done. You can't simplify that, so you just leave it. Okay, so the next one you got here is you have this deal. There's not a radical in the denominator, but what you can do, and I showed you this in class, is I'm going to go ahead and simplify the radical that's in there. Now, when I do that, you know that the square root of 18, okay, when you do that, when you prime factor it, it's going to be 2 times 3 times 3, which is, hey, there's your pair. So bring that out, leave that 2 in. Okay, so that's what it's going to look like. So when you do that, you're going to get 27 minus 3 square roots of 2 all over 3. Now remember, the 3 there is the denominator for both those terms in the top. Okay. There's a couple of ways you can do this. And I showed you, you can write it as the 27 divided by 3 minus 3 square roots of 2 over 3. Okay. And then you can simplify it. This is going to be basically 9. Okay. And this is going to be square root of 2. Okay. The other thing you could have done is you could have factored out a 3 here. Okay. And that's going to leave you with 9 minus square root of 2 all over 3. And then these two guys cancel, and you still end up with 9 minus square root of 2. Okay? Either way, it's going to work. All right, let's open up the second. sure. Go. Okay, so I had showed you some stuff about conjugates earlier, okay, in class. And so the way that I'm going to take care of this thing here is I'm going to multiply it times its conjugate. Okay, and that all that really means is this is square root of 7 minus the square root of 3. So the conjugate there is going to be the square root of 7 plus the square root of 3. Okay, but I need to do the top also. Okay, when I do that, this is like multiplying binomial. Okay, so I'm going to, you know, like, all right. So square root of 7 times the square root of 7, that's going to give you 7. Then the square root of 7 times 3 is going to give you plus square root of 21. Then negative square root of 3 times 7 is going to give you a negative square root of 21. And then square root of 3 times the square root of 3, that's going to give you minus 3. Okay. And then on the top, I'm going to do the same thing. This is going to give me 5 times square root of 7 times square root of 7 is going to be 7. Okay. If you want to, you can, you know, put the square root of 49 and then do it, and then take the square root of it. 49, you get 7. Okay, so I'm saying this times this, and then this times that, which is going to give me plus the square root of 20, or sorry, let my 5 out of there. 5 square roots of 21. All right. And then this times this is going to give me plus the square root of 21. And then square root of 3 times the square root of 3 is just going to be 3. Okay. I'm just going to clean it up a little bit. So on the top, this is going to be, remember, this is going to be 35. So I'm going to go ahead and add 35 and 3. That's going to give me 38. Okay. 5 square roots of 21 plus the square root of 21 is going to give me 6 square roots of 21. So now on the bottom here, I'll get 7 minus 3. That's 4. Okay. And the square root of 21 minus the square root of 21, those just cancel out. So I'm just left with 4. But I do need to reduce this down. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, I'm going to factor out of 2. It's going to leave me with 19 plus 3 square roots of 21 all over 4. Okay, and we'll cancel 2 here, 2 there. And that's going to leave me with 19 plus 3 square roots of 21 all over 2. Okay, and you're done. A lot of writing. Not a whole lot of anything else, but it's a lot of writing. All right. So the next one here, I'm going to do the same thing. Okay. Remember, there's a bunch of different ways that you can do this stuff. Okay. So what I'm going to do here is I'm basically going to keep it pretty straightforward. So I've got 4 square roots of b minus 4. 4 square roots of b minus 4. And then I'll do the same thing I just did on the top there. So multiply these two guys down here together. And you're going to end up with 4 times 4 is 16. Square root of v times the square root of v is going to be v. Okay. And then 4 times the square root of 4 square roots of v minus 4 is going to give me negative 16 square root of v. Okay. So I did those first ones, and now I'll do, the second ones here. 4 times 4, that's going to be plus 16 square root of v minus 16. Okay. So that's that part. And then on the top, negative 7 times 4 square roots of b is going to be negative 28 square root of b, and negative 7 times negative 4 is going to give me positive 28. So what I'm going to do on the top there is I'm going to factor out a negative 28. You don't have to do the negative. You could do 28. But if I do that, then I'll have positive b minus 1 there. Remember, these two guys just cancel each other out. And then I've got 16v minus 16. And what I can do on the bottom there is I can factor out 16. Okay. That's going to leave me with v minus 1. And then you just reduce it. So 4 goes in here 4 times, 4 goes in there 7 times. So I end up with negative 7 square root of v minus 1 all over 4 times v minus 1. Okay. So that's the name of that too. All right. Now on the one on the next one here, what I've got is there's a couple of different ways, and I showed you one way to do it. Okay. And so I said you could take this and change it to 4 and then put 9 to the 1/4. So then when you go to do the rationalize the denominator, you know that, well, since this is 1/4, I'm trying to make 4/4. So you can say 9 to the 3/4. Okay. So I'm going to do 9 to the 3/4 up here. All right. So when I do that, I'm going to get, basically, I'm going to get 9 on the bottom. Of 1/4 plus 3/4 is 1. Okay. And then I'm going to get 4, and I'm just going to switch this thing back to the, remember, the denominator is 4, that's the index. Okay. And then I got 9 to the 3rd on the inside, and I can't reduce that. Now that's one way you could do it. Another way you could have looked at it, okay, is, and I'll usually go with like, fractional and exponents. Well, I shouldn't say that usually, but I'll flip back and forth. It really just depends on what I feel like doing. Okay, but another way you could have done this, okay, and what we can do is if you've got the radical there and you understand that this is 1 here and that's 4, then you know that you're going to basically, you're trying to make what you're trying to add whatever, you know, that's, you know, your index is going to be 4. You're trying to say, okay, what's that number going to be? So 1 plus what is going to give me 4? Okay, so you just use 3. Okay, and then you do the top the same way. Okay, now when you multiply these two things together, you're going to end up with, let's do it down here. We got 4 times 4th root of 9 to the 3rd. Okay, all over. Remember, this is like saying 1/4 plus 3/4 is going to give you, well, when you add together, it's going to be 1. So you just get 9, and then you can reduce it down from that. Okay, now, you know, if you took 9 and you went ahead and cubed it, you'd get 729. I just don't bother doing it. Okay, because it's not going to, it doesn't change anything for me. Okay, normally if something's not going to change anything, I'm not going to do it. Okay, all right, so look at that. I missed this one up there in the top. I tell you what, I'll let you do the one at the top. Okay, and so pause the video, take a shot at it, and come back after you're done, and watch me do it and see if I do it right. Okay, so I'm going to multiply the bottom by its conjugate. Okay, so that's going to be 7 minus 3 square roots of 2 minus 3. Okay. Oh, not -3. Sorry. Brain's whack. -3 square roots of 2. There you go. Okay. So when you multiply, remember this is just like multiplying binomials. You're going to end up with 7 times 7 is 49. 7 times -3 square roots of 2 is -21 square root of 2. And then you're going to get this. It's going to give you plus 21 square roots of 2. Okay. And then this is going to give you 3 times -3 is going to be -9. And square root of 2 times the square root of 2 is just going to be 2. So just put times 2. You can put the square root of 4. You just switch it. Okay. And then on the top, I'm going to end up with -21 plus 9 square roots of 2. All right. Now I'll just simplify stuff. So on the top, I've got, I could factor out a 3. I'm going to make it -3, just so I can switch the signs on it. So I'm going to end up with 7 minus square root of 2. Okay. It should be 3 there. There we go. All right. And then in the bottom here, remember these two guys cancel each other out. And remember, this is -9 times 2, so that's going to be -18. So 49 minus 18 is going to be 31. And I can't do that. So I just leave it. If you wanted to leave it as -21 plus 9 square roots of 2 over 31, it's going to be the same. I just went ahead and factored it out just in case something did cancel. Okay, so you're going to have to play around with these a little bit. Okay, they are kind of, not bad. It's just a lot of writing as usual. Okay.